All right, lead heads. It is that time for another episode of the Talking Lead Podcast. Bringing it to you each and every week, as long as I'm healthy and not sick under the weather. Sometimes even then, which I'm on the tail end of it, as you heard last episode, where our guest was Jeff Kirkham and Jared Markle. We kicked off the Talking Lead Full 30 amazing gun shortage giveaway. And that's well underway. We've got over 20 companies that are taking part in that. We have 5 prize packages that are going to go to 5 winners on Christmas. We're going to make the announcement Christmas sometime. The contest ends on Christmas Eve, and then we'll make the announcement there sometime after. But it's an awesome giveaway. We've got links on our social media. You can go to Talking Lead's Instagram page. There's a link to the Gleam giveaway there. We've got links on Facebook. All the other companies are making posts. We've got companies like Glock, like Sky Firearms. Primary Arms has put up a Smith & Wesson MP9. We've got a Browning Buck Mark 22 LR pistol that is going to come with a 22 suppressor. So that's kind of like our grand prize winner is going to get that. And then we've got the Glock 48 and the two of the Skies, I think they call them, what do they call them? The CPX 2RDs. And those come with red dot sights. Those pistols do, 9 millimeters. So 2 of those, the Glock and the Smith & Wesson and the Browning 22. So 5 packages with 5 guns. Each one of those packages has got an additional, $1,200 worth of prizes that are going to be coming with it. Buck Knives is in on this. Night Vision is in. We've got some awesome backpacks from Geisley that you're going to be able to shove all this stuff into and carry it around. Mission First Tactical has several things that they're throwing in there. We've got some pepper spray and some dump trays and some minimal wallets and some drinkware that they're throwing in. The Buck Knives is a 112 Slim Pro knife. Diamond D Leather Holsters has a holster for that G48. Talking Lead, we're throwing in some of our T-shirts and patches. And 1776 United's throwing in a gift card. We've even got cigars in these packages, ladies and gentlemen. So these would make awesome Christmas presents. So tell your buddy, tell your loved ones, tell them to enter. There's several opportunities for you to get more entries. It's one of those where you go and like pages, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, subscribe to us on Full 30. You get more entries that way. Tell friends, you get additional entries. So don't forget about that. And if you need a link to it, you can email me, talkingled@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link. I'll email you the link if you can't find a link on any of the social medias or in our show notes. I'm putting links in our show notes also for each of these episodes on our website. Go to talkingled.com for that. So something you don't want to miss out on. And with Christmas coming up, if you're looking for gifts, you're hard pressed to find a good gift. I mean, what better gift could you give a loved one than the gift of training? And we're offering that. Jared Seagraves with 212 Training Group is joining me today. Jared, welcome in.
What's up?
Hey, buddy.
What's up, Leadheads?
How's
Glad
Texas?
to be here, man. Texas is awesome.
Always,
Texas
isn't it?
Is beautiful. That's right.
Can't beat Texas. So we're having we're putting together a training course, you and I, and we've made announcements on prior episodes. So if you haven't heard, we're going to tell you about it again here on this episode. But this would make a great Christmas present. And
absolutely, man.
There's ways that Jared can work with you guys on like gift cards or something like that. If maybe you wanted to get with a couple other family members, go in together, and maybe pay for part of someone's training course that wanted to attend our Talking Lead AK Corner training course that we're doing. It's AK Concepts here in Nashville, Tennessee, February the 20th and 21st at Royal Range, USA. You can go to 212 Training Group's website. Give them that website, Jared.
Yeah, you can reach us at 212traininggroup.com or 212firearmstraining.com, and we've got the course posted, and it's going to be awesome. Royal Range is a fantastic facility, and we're super excited about being there. It'll be our first time there. One of the best things you can give someone is knowledge, or the ability to go out and acquire that knowledge. So if you're interested in doing something like that and giving somebody a gift card, just give us a shout. Contact us on via email, through the website, on Instagram, Facebook. We're super easy to reach, and we'll make it happen. So, it's a great time to give somebody the gift of knowledge, and we're open to help you do that.
There you go. If you wanted to pay for the whole course for them, that's awesome. If you wanted to pay for partial of it, like I was telling you, Jared can do gift cards, and then you can gift that individual those gift cards, and they can use that and apply it towards this AK Corner Concepts course that we're doing. And tell them a little bit what we're going to be covering in that course, Jared.
Well, we've got 2 days, and we're going to cram that 2 days full. Of course, you can never concentrate too much on the fundamentals of shooting, and of course we're gonna talk about those and cover those. But I know that most of the lead heads are fairly squared away. But what we're really going to dive into is us. It doesn't matter if it's the AK or the AR, handgun, shotgun. That's the tool, and we really are going to dive into us. And when I say that, I mean what we want to give you is the tools to make your practice when you leave this class more meaningful, more deliberate, more valuable. Every single trigger press is going to be an opportunity for you to learn something about the platform, learn something about yourself, learn something about how we process information in situations like this. And that's what we're really going to work on is ourselves. We're the tool, or we're the weapon. That's what it really boils down to. And the platform that we choose is the tool. So we're going to talk about our learning styles. We're going to talk about how we can best process information under these ideal circumstances so that it would better prepare us in the unfortunate event that we ever had to utilize a firearm. Because ultimately our goal is, not to have to use it. God forbid, we ever have to. But we want to make those processes subconscious to some extent so that we can process the situation and not the platform itself, because our brains are like computers. We're running background programs all the time, but we have to process the situation at hand, and running that AK-47 or whatever platform we choose should be running in the background.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something.
This course is going to be, whether you're an old hat at running the AK, you're new to it, whatever it may be, this course is going to, you're talking about muscle memory, basically, is getting your body used to doing something over and over and over again to where it's just natural, where you don't have to think about it and do it. So, whether you're a beginner, this would be a great course to get into and start those muscle memory synapses going, getting them going for you, starting it. Or if, again, it's something that you do and you train a lot and you do with the AKs, this would be something to help you keep honing that, and keep that muscle memory and keep those synapses going. So,
and we're going to try and develop a baseline for each shooter. It doesn't matter what your current level of performance is or what you feel it is. We're going to give you that baseline and then build upon that, regardless of your current level of performance.
Very cool. Very cool. So, guys, go to the website again, Jared.
212firearmstraining.com or 212traininggroup.com will also get you there. And again, you can also contact us on Instagram or Facebook, and plenty of avenues for you to get a hold of us.
Yeah. And like I said, you can go ahead and sign up for the course there, or if you want to get some gift cards, a great Christmas gift, stocking stuffer, whatever, however you want to give that, go get the gift cards, and then they can use that and apply it towards the class. So some choices and opportunities there for some great Christmas presents, because Christmas ain't canceled. I don't care what Biden says.
They can't shut it down.
And he's not president yet. He don't know.
The Fiocchi family has been producing high-quality ammunition since 1876. In 2020, Fiocchi's launching a full line of premium products, everything from self and home defense to the long-range categories. The Fiocchi Blue Guardian line will feature specially tuned products specifically for home and self-defense, featuring lead-free technology and the only NATO-certified zero-pollution primer in the world. Fiocchi's a proud sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Fiocchi trains, Fiocchi protects.
Another thing that you guys can do is we've got the 1776 United. We've got 1776united.com. We've got the Talking Lead apparel there, our classic Talking Lead logo T-shirts, our Leadhead Brigade T-shirts, our Leadhead Brigade patches. Those make great gifts. And then our new partnership with Factory 47 for you AK Corner listeners, fans. You can go there, and we've got our T-shirts, our hoodies, and our drinkware available at Factory 47. You can go there and get those to make great gifts. So still time to get all that for Christmas. So Jared, it's been a while since I've done the Talking Lead Jackwagon train, and I think we should do that now. Take care of some jackwagons and honor some heroes. So
we'll bring that train in.
There you go.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, the train has stationed. And as far as jackwagons go, man, I don't really have a whole lot other than, still just the media. You and I were talking a little bit offline there, and I haven't really watched TV much. Haven't watched the news, listened to the news, haven't read a lot. But I sat down before we did the show and got on CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, and was just kind of scanning through to see if there's anything new, different, that they might be talking about. And
probably not.
And it's the same old crap. So it didn't take me long to get caught up on that. So I'm throwing the news media on for not, I guess the word I want to use is for not being diverse in their news reporting. We'll put it that way. Being one-minded, single-track minded, it's old, it's getting old, it's sick, and I can't believe that these news stations, people still watch them.
It's all about the COVID updates is all they focus on.
Yeah, and who cares? I mean, really at this point, who really cares? It's beyond ridiculousness. So I want to focus on heroes. And my first hero is a good friend of mine and a longtime leadhead, Zach Hall. Zach is with Occam Defense. He's been on the show several times. A lot of you leadheads know Zach. He's just a super great guy, smart guy, extremely smart guy. I've been behind a lot of the designs there at Occam Defense with their suppressors and their guns. But Zach was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer not too long ago, and he's at stage 4, people are fighting for their lives. So we want to put Zach into our thoughts and prayers, and there is a GoFundMe set up for Zach, and I'm trying to find it. Do you have that link there? You said you saw it. Let's see.
I saw it earlier today, but I don't have it right here.
Yeah, so you can go to GoFundMe, and it looks like Zach's, ZACHS, stage 4 colon cancer is where you should find that. So if you just search Zach's stage 4 colon cancer, there'll be a picture of Zach and Stephanie there. She's a cute redhead. You'll know you found the right page there. and you can donate to help him with his fight with this cancer. And I think he's really got a good chance of beating this. So leadheads, chip in, show a fellow leadhead some awesome support there, and go to his GoFundMe page, Zach Hall.
Keep him in your prayers, because there is power in that.
Personal, like I said, a personal hero of mine. The guy is super smart. He knows more about firearms and cans and suppressors than most of us. He's forgot about more of it than most of us know. So, great dude there. What about you? You got any heroes?
Well, man, I know this is broad, but just the people that are continuing to march forward and do what they're doing every single day. I've had the opportunity to see a lot of great people over the last couple of weeks and train with a lot of great people, and talk to. I've spent a lot of time on the phone last few days with range owners and hosts, and it's just awesome to know that people are still out there rocking, and the American people are pretty awesome. So that's all I got.
Well, I'll have to get a big lead force 1 to hold all the great Americans. Right?
Hell yeah, absolutely.
We'll make it happen, though, no doubt. So I see that Brian has joined us. Brian Keeney with Occam Defense Solutions. Brian, welcome in.
Hello, all. Sorry to be a little late today, but very happy to be here.
No, that's fine.
You're building badass AK-47s. That's why you're late, and that's awesome.
Yeah, we've really gotten our poop in a group lately, as one of our Matt Soas, one of our customers and dealers up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, likes to say. I had not heard that till recently, but it's a very G-rated expression it made my wife, who handles all of our orders, really giggle when she first saw that. So that's become a favorite expression lately. But yeah, just want to second all the people still showing up and being well behaved in the face of every reason to behave badly. And so yeah, keep doing it, guys. Like, I'm still able to get steel because you guys are hauling it for me, and so I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hauling it and cutting it. Hell yeah. Very good. So I've got, unless you guys have any more, I've got one more, and that's going to get us into our topic here. And we're continuing our Liberty series, if you can't tell by the lineup of guests that we have. We may have a couple more join us. I don't know. Have you guys heard from either of the other two guys?
I haven't heard from LOP.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll see if I can roust him here.
Yeah. So in the midst of, I was talking about the news earlier, and then I guess the last episode we had talked about, or maybe the episode before that, we had talked about these government officials, these governors that you've heard around the country that are, imposing these curfews, closing down businesses, deciding what's essential, what's non-essential, and expecting their constituents, I guess, whatever, to follow suit and do as they're told. But then you see in the media, in the news, that they're out having parties, socializing, gathering, doing everything that they're telling you not to do. And then when you do it, they send, their dogs, their hounds out on you, citations, arrests, this, that, and the other. So this post was earlier, I don't know, a couple of days ago, but this goes into my heroes, and it is, what is his name? Chad Bianco, Sheriff Chad Bianco.
Chad Bianco, yep.
He is a Riverside County, and Riverside County is that California?
I think that L.A., yeah, right?
L.A. So I want to play this video.
North of L.A. County, just a little bit. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to play this video, and this is Sheriff Chad Bianco, and you're going to see where I'm going with this if you haven't already heard this. So,
hello, I'm Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. We have all recently learned of the new regional approach to combating COVID-19 and the pending closure and stay-at-home orders from our governor. We were also told there was a potential he would be withholding federal and state funding from counties who did not enforce the orders. Ironically, it wasn't that long ago our same governor loudly and publicly argued how wrong it was for the President of the United States to withhold federal funding from states not complying with federal laws. The dictatorial attitude toward California residents while dining in luxury, traveling, keeping his business open, and sending his kids to in-person private schools is very telling about his attitude toward California residents, his feelings about the virus, and it is extremely hypocritical. These closures and stay-at-home orders are flat out ridiculous. The metrics used for closures are unbelievably faulty and are not representative of true numbers and are disastrous for Riverside County. When the medical field is so split about this virus, it might be time to employ a little common sense. Keeping money and support from our hospitals, who are struggling with normal, seasonal increases in patients, coupled with COVID-19 patients, is irresponsible. It appears part of the new goal is to shift attention away from his and others' personal behavior with a do as I say, not as I do attitude by turning public opinion against California sheriffs. He is expecting us to arrest anyone violating these orders, cite them and take their money, close their businesses, make them stay in their homes, and take away their civil liberties, or he will punish all of us. I believe that all jobs are essential to someone. Leaders do not threaten, attempt to intimidate, or cause fear. Bullies do. As has been our position from the beginning of this pandemic, the Sheriff's Department is asking and expecting Riverside County residents to act responsibly and do what they can to protect themselves and their family from contracting the virus. Wear your mask and practice social distancing. While the governor's office and the state has threatened action against violators, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department will not be blackmailed, bullied, or used as muscle against Riverside County residents in the enforcement of the governor's orders. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a safe and Happy New Year. Hello.
So there you go. That was an Instagram post. Anyway, you get the point. So, I mean, it was very obviously political of this guy to come out and make this video. And, you know, that's kind of what we want to talk about today is sheriffs and what the role of a sheriff is. And I don't know where it's going to lead, but we're gonna kind of just kick it off with that. But I wanted to point this guy out to have the balls to come out, especially in a politically charged environment like California, and just paint a big target on his back like he just did. But he's basically saying, and I don't think it went into this one, but he was basically saying that, you know, you guys go out and enjoy your Christmas, gather, you know, be safe about it, be smart about it, use common sense, but don't be afraid to celebrate Christmas with your loved ones without fear of them coming in and, you know, Gestapoing your ass. So great for Chad Bianco to do this. There's probably other sheriffs that have done this around the country as well, and I hope so. And if you leadheads have heard of it or you know of one, shoot me an email, talkinglead@gmail.com, and we'll definitely recognize them. But hopefully, by other sheriffs seeing what he's done, they're going to come out and they're also going to see how hypocritical that these leaders are, these governors, these mayors are, and that they're not going to stand for it, and they're not going to enforce these unconstitutional rules. They're not even laws. They're guidelines that they've set out. So that's kind of where we're leading in with our topic today. And Jared can give us a better overview because this is kind of something that he's been wanting to talk about for a few weeks now. So Jared, just kind of drive us in the direction that you're wanting to head here.
Yeah, so Marty, you and I had a phone conversation. I was sitting on a plane heading to a training in Phoenix, and I'd had this conversation with some people that are close to me in the days leading up to our conversation, and it was basically, if we are looking down the road at January, and we have a Biden-Harris win, however that's going to play out. And our firearms community, and I know every leadhead listening is already thinking to this point, because we have heard Joe Biden sit next to Beto O'Rourke and say, this is going to be my guy. This is the guy that's going to come take down take the AKs, take the ARs. We're going to make this happen. And no matter how much we kind of chuckle and say, ha, that's not going to happen. Well, the reality is they're going to make a big push. And Americans have been maybe a little bit oblivious to the trampling of our constitutional rights that have occurred. I mean, you look at freedom of speech. That's we could do an entire show about that. We've talked about this before. But when you start really talking about firearms and our rights and federal overreach, that's coming. They're going to make an effort. And we have alluded to or talked about what the events transpired in Virginia last year. And the farther we go, I really feel like that was just a little pilot program to see what the reaction was going to be. It was the litmus test to an extent. They wanted to see what the American people were going to do, what law enforcement was going to do, and now they've got a pretty damn good idea. So in the event that our rights, specifically in this case, the Second Amendment right, are really hammered, and I think all of us know that they've already outlined that they're going to try and outlaw online parts sales, online gun sales, online ammo sales, require background checks for anything, for ammo purchases. They already do it in California. Long story short, what do we do? What do we do? What does it look like? The battle cry, from Gonzales, Texas, come and take it. Everybody wants to stand up and say that, but what steps are going to happen prior to that? What can we do? We see the left progressive liberal movement hitting the streets, burning down buildings, looting, and there's no repercussions, period. We don't do that. We're not going to do that. So at the risk of using a term that some of us cringe at hearing, I do, is community organizing. What are our solutions? And I've talked to so many of my friends, family, peers, professionals, law enforcement agents at the sheriff's department, the police department, and I've posed these questions, and everyone says, man, I really don't know. I don't have the answer. So above all else, I wanted to spark this conversation, this thought process, so that leadheads would start having these conversations with each other, with members of their community. So I have a whole list of questions that are tough questions to answer, but we've got to start down this road, because there's so much that can be done between where we're at right now and where so many people think we might end up very rapidly. That's a hard thing to think down, but that's why we're here.
Well, let's do this. Let's go over your questions, and maybe we can either hypothesize or we can talk through them, and maybe we have some answers, maybe we don't. But I think that'd be a good place to start with our listeners, just to kind of give them an idea of where we're headed with this.
So the number one question that I had, and it plays right into the number one solution, I think, is how will we as citizens, as Americans, within our local communities, organize to oppose such steps taken at the federal level? And how do we organize? There's so many avenues for us to communicate with one another now that we do it all on a screen. That has to be pushed aside, and we have to start talking face to face within our communities to not only people that have the same stance or beliefs that we do politically, but also those that take possibly a neutral or even opposing stance. And the answer there is initiating conversations, discussing facts, putting emotions aside, and focusing on fact, and educating, legicating the uneducated. And I use this term very purposefully, is there's a lot of ignorance out there when we talk about the public perception of the firearms community.
And there is, and I don't disagree with that. Let me back up a little bit. How do you, or why do you think that it's better to have these discussions face to face, live, versus through the internet?
Because
Skyping
ultimately it results in a greater level of respect, in my opinion.
But how are you going to get past these, especially if you're trying to talk to the opposing side of things that are so adamant about social distancing and not meeting and not getting into groups, because that's their big defense in not having to talk about this stuff right now.
Yeah, that and maybe we can't have these discussions face to face at this point in time. But
this is the time they need to be had.
Right. And what I envision is when you're out in your daily community and you see someone, you figure out how to spark these conversations or invite them to how does the opposing view, how do they organize? I don't know, because I've never done
get
this.
In groups. They
that's what I mean.
They meet face to face. They're hypocrites. They're obviously hypocrites. But they use that as a tool not to have to talk to us about their views and us to be able to present our side of things. So
agreed. So they post events.
So that being said, I think we need to concentrate more on our tribe, building our community. Those that are willing to meet face to face. And then grow it from there, just like what they're doing.
That's rock solid. That's rock solid. That's what often is referred to as a grassroots effort, and that's a catchphrase that's used, and people throw that term around. But I don't think people really and truly understand what that means. I don't even understand what that means. The problem is we don't have time, or we have the perception that we don't have time to go out and protest or organize, because we think, well, hell, I've got a job. I've got kids that are in sports. I've got to go home and make sure my kids are doing their damn assignments online. And we have to make time. And that's an extremely rare commodity, is that time. But if we don't start doing it, we're sunk.
Brian, what do you?
I want to hear.
Say something.
I want to hear Brian.
As I mentioned to you guys off air, I'm not feeling very intelligent with regard to answering these questions, but
because they're hard.
Yeah, they're very hard, and but I do have a couple of reactions to what you guys have said thus far. One of them, there's a curious psychological phenomenon that I think, after I describe it, everybody will realize it to be true. That the typical the typical outcome of when anti-gunners and gunners, or the particular anecdote that I'll just tell the story. Let me go there. That in Massachusetts in the 90s, there was a very, I'll say, militant pro-life movement. And the tensions I'm from Rhode Island originally, and in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, it's a very Catholic area, and there were a lot of pro-life folks, and that's a sort of general trait among conservatives. But back then, it correlated a little more to religious faith, And the tensions ratcheted up so much that some people ended up getting killed. I think, workers at abortion clinics, if I remember correctly, ended up getting murdered by one dude in particular. Was pretty effective. And there was a recognition that the tensions had gotten too high from the leaders of both sides. And so they got together to meet, I forget if it was once a week or once a month, to figure out if they could get to some kind of common ground. And the curious outcome of that is that they all became very close as friends, but they also became more strident in their opinions. Both sides got more hardcore in their convictions. And I think that's probably because they had a chance to voice them against a good opponent. And they were intelligent people, more or less, from what I understand. But the outcome was that they got sunk in deeper, even though they found the humanity in the other. And so there's an upside in that they weren't killing each other anymore, or that's an upside depending on where you stand on the issue, I guess. But it didn't result in any kind of policy shift among the participants. And so it's my contention that trying to reason with people that are hard dug in anti-2A is not going to result in very much positive movement. But, and it's a very important but, we have an enormous number of liberal new gun owners in the gun culture. And they don't know anything yet because they're brand new gun owners. And I'm sure there's some new conservative gun owners out there too. This is it's a real risk that we have a whole bunch of firearms accidents and kids digging out guns out of their mother's purses and accidentally shooting themselves or somebody else. That tragically happened down in southern Idaho a couple of years back. We've got an opportunity for a lot of bad stuff to happen there and anti-gunners to get more ammo for their cause. But we also have people that are ripe for conversion to being hardcore 2A people. They bought a gun because they realized why you need one. So there's an obvious play here to take a new gun owner to the range. And for 99% of us, I bet we don't get to the range enough. And so you could kill two birds with one stone, get some range time in, maybe bring your kids, their kids, and them, and have a really positive, safe experience. And
that's a great point.
Strikes me as low-hanging fruit that we can build our side with the swing voters, as it were. Let's not worry about the left wing. I think that ship is done sailed. They think, the hardcore left thinks that we're white supremacists and should be in re-education camps. So I don't think spending much time on them is very good, but working on that new community is a big deal.
Yeah, I think the middle ground, the population of people that are undecided or apathetic up until this point is exponentially larger than those that will never convince otherwise. I personally have friends that don't really want to discuss politics because they don't really want to take a side because it doesn't affect them on a daily basis. And it's interesting. There's a group of guys that I graduated high school with, and we're spread out, but we're still relatively close. And you have a couple of us that are, I use this term, conservative in our thought process. There's one that's apathetic and one that, whether this term, just like conservative, is true to its current meaning or not, is very liberal, or what I would consider progressive in his thought process. And it's funny to watch the one that seems apathetic. He just chuckles when we all get together, and we have very heated discussions, but we go away with respect to one another. And just like you just alluded to, Brian, we don't change each other's mind, but we have respectful discussions. And that's maybe it's going to sway someone that's apathetic or make them, it's good for them to have both vantage points. But I digress. To your point, there are millions of people out there now that now have a gun. They don't have any ammo. They understand that. I feel like the majority, from conversations that I've had, the majority understand that they're uneducated and they want to be educated, but they can't find ammo. And that's a whole other issue. But
that is definitely something that falls into the gun grabbers scheme.
Absolutely,
get rid of the ammo. Well, maybe we can't get the guns, but we can get the ammo. And if they can keep these material constraints to be able to make the ammo at scarcity levels, continue to do that now that they've seen a way to do it through this pandemic. Who knows what's running through their little pea brains.
Well, are you guys familiar with some of their strategies that they've proposed to attack the ammo supply in the past? Basically registering each box, and you cannot have that box of ammo, whether it be 20 rounds or 50 rounds, in your possession for greater than 6 months. They proposed chemically altering the composition of the powder so that there's degradation, and after a year or 2 years, it'll be inert. There's all kinds of things that they proposed in the past that never did fly. But if they gain the Senate seats, I mean, this could be a perfect storm for them to possibly push this agenda even further. So that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah, and specifically, we're talking about sheriffs. So let's. Yeah. So that's what we're supposed to be talking about.
Right. Okay. So, but before we get to that,
we always chase rabbits around here. So.
Yeah, and that's okay. So the initial question was, how will citizens organize to oppose such attacks? Bottom line is, we have to be willing to invest the time to start meeting in small groups and then invite new people. And that's the hardest part, because we have to allocate the time to do it. And that's tough. To Brian's point, education, period. We've got to bring new people in, or those people that have jumped in by making their first gun purchase, we have to reach out to them and be supportive. And what's bad is the firearms community is an interesting mix, because you have so many people that will tear others down before they reach out and say, hey, at least this person's trying. At least this person's taking those steps. And I want to be the one to foster that journey. So let's go. Let's help build this community. And that's where our mentality needs to be. So how do we do that? We reach out to these new gun owners. We try and bring new people in that maybe are a little bit curious. And I think one of the key components, and there are easy avenues to do this, is bring our youth into this. Educate our kids. Educate. One of the most successful programs out there is 4-H shooting sports. And for example, in the school district where I taught, there were so many kids that thought of a gun and they were like, oh my gosh, that's scary. Well, it's because they didn't know any better, or they just bought into some perception. And then some of those kids came into the 4-H group and thrived. They loved it. They were safe. They were educated, and it completely changed their path in life as far as that perception. So there are some solutions there to build support in the community. All we have to do is put our brains and our passion behind it and build relationships. It's building relationships.
So now, specifically, how do you? So here's kind of some things that run through my head when, we were talking about this, and you guys were talking about going to our local sheriffs and talking to them. Is just like some of these sheriffs don't want to do, as opposed to this Chad sheriff there in California, where he basically painted a big target on his back. A lot of sheriffs don't want to do that, and they're afraid to do that. Kind of the same thing as an individual, where if I'm not really sure where my sheriff stands or my department stands, do I want to go and paint a target on my back at the same time?
Paint a target on your back by doing what?
By going and letting them know where I stand and what I'm trying to do. It's like, hey, we're, Mr. Sheriff, I kind of want to know if this shit hits the fan, how you guys are going to react and, what you're going to do. kind of thing.
Yeah,
But by that point, I've made myself known to them that, I could be a potential threat if they intend to.
That's a risk we have to take, and that's basically, in my opinion, standing your ground. That's making known where I stand as an individual. Here are my beliefs. Especially if you're a law-abiding citizen that's responsible. You have nothing to fear by reaching out. So solution 2, reach out to your local law enforcement departments, be it your police chief, a friend that's a police officer, a friend that's a sheriff's deputy. Initiate these conversations, reach out to your sheriff. And a lot of times, so here's what I faced. I've spent some time with my local sheriff on an informal basis, not anything where we've really truly gotten to know each other. I feel like I know enough people that know him well to really know where this man stands. I respect him. He's a huge supporter. When I was more involved in our 4-H youth sporting events, shooting sports, I was a rifle coach, and he would come to our fundraising events, and he supported these youth programs. So I reached out, I tried to have a conversation, and basically it's chaos at the sheriff's department because they're so busy. They're shorthanded, they're overworked, so I understand that. But he basically made the statement of, I'm going to support your constitutional right, and I will absolutely defend that. And I appreciate that, and I believe that. But my question, what that statement spawns, is what does that really look like? So again, solution 2 to this is reaching out and trying to build those relationships. But know it's going to be difficult. Know that just like us, time is their most precious commodity. They're overworked already. They want to go home to their families at the end of the day at some point and spend some time with them. They don't, but we've got to have these conversations. And the more people that they see reaching out to build this support, build this community, and build this up, the more they're going to buy in, because what's that going to do? That's going to increase their relationships within the community. So that's an awesome thing. So even though it's going to be hard, even though you asking for someone's time is going to be asking a lot, maybe shoot them an email to break the ice.
So here's something. Again, these are elected officials. Sheriffs are elected officials.
Elected officials.
So
yep.
you kind of, and the reason I brought that up was, going into it, you're going to kind of have an idea of what side they're on to begin with. And if you don't, again, use your community. Talk to other individuals. Who did you vote for? Why did you vote for this guy? What do you know about this sheriff? You can do some investigation before you go and you approach them as well, just to kind of get a feel.
Another thing when
they have websites also. You can go to their websites. You can go to their social media pages. You can see the type of information that they're pushing out. Yeah, again, there's some investigative work, some things that you can do prior to, if you're a little hesitant about approaching your local sheriff's office, even your local police chief, whoever it may be. Now, we were talking about police chief and sheriffs. There's differentiations there, where a sheriff is an elected official, your police chief is typically an appointed position.
Right. Who do they answer to? And I honestly don't know enough about this, and this has really spurred me to do my research. Is the police chief, who does he answer to? City council, city manager? Those are all questions that mayor. Yeah. How intertwined is all of that
Boss
relationship?
Hog.
And
He watched the Dukes of Hazzard. They answered to Boss Hog.
If we think
what was Boss Hog? Was he a mayor?
He was the mayor, I think. I don't know.
The mayor of Hazard County?
Powerful, big, round guy that, tried to make money, regardless of ethical boundaries.
Right. Which is, I think, the way a lot of people view our system now anyway. It's corrupt.
Yeah. If we think about how to initiate these conversations, even it doesn't matter if we're talking to law enforcement, if we're talking to our brother-in-law, if we're talking to our best friend or someone that's new to the community, think about these two different approaches. Specifically, a question to a law enforcement official. What are you going to do if they come take our guns? Come try and take our guns. That's probably not going to solicit a very thoughtful response or even cause someone to want to invest time in that conversation. A better approach is in my opinion, but I'm just thinking out loud, what if steps are taken legislatively or through executive power that's going to limit our ability to possess things that we possibly already have or impact our ability to buy firearms in the future? How is that going to play out? And again, I think so many of them have adopted the broad statement of, well, I'm going to protect your constitutional rights. Okay, how? Let's think about what that looks like on a day-to-day basis in reality. What steps are you going to take? What can I do to help you and support you in this community? And how do we move forward? So anyway, just thinking out loud.
Well, and this really, it occurs to me very, very strongly state by state and county by county. For instance, I'm quite certain that I will continue to produce firearms no matter what. And the state of Idaho, as I've mentioned before, has laws on the books saying that it will not recognize any new federal firearms laws. So
it's a sanctuary state, right?
That's a good way of putting it. And so, that works out great for selling inside Idaho, but the feds, have a very strong claim, at least they think they do, on interstate commerce. And so my ability to stay open and ship to California, say, might become inhibited. And so, when I did live in California, this is why I say it just varies. So, and as a private citizen, and in a very liberal county, arguably the most liberal county in California, I was not with friends or allies. And so, certain people everybody needs to figure out what their red line in the sand is. But there are strategically smart and strategically dumb red lines. And, this has been bandied about a lot. If the Gestapo comes to your door to take your guns, what do you do? And some people are of the opinion that from my cold dead hands. And other people are like, no, don't keep your guns in one place and, live to fight another day and act accordingly when they leave your door and go to the next guy's door.
So you brought up in a previous episode an important statement that speaks to that. Don't fight the enemy's fight. Right? And that's what we're trying to avoid, is that mentality from my cold dead hands. Not that there won't be, God forbid, and we hope that it's not going to get to that point, but that's my point in this entire discussion is there is obvious real estate between where we are now and that point in time. So what do we do?
Well, and my point is that real estate shrinks dramatically based on where you are in the country.
Absolutely.
And so for some individuals, the right move might be move geographically while you
can.
Because, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not running into New York City to defend those gun owners' rights. Sorry, guys, you're on your own. My dedication is to my community and my state. But, and I'm not going to be, flying airdrops of freedom guns into California. That's not happening. And so people, there's scopes of concern and scopes of influence. And so that's why it's such a complex issue to me, is that it really depends on where you are. But I'm also, I am reminded of a quote from James Yeager, or maybe, he got it from somebody else, but I learned it from him, that if you think it's time to bury your guns, it's time to dig them up. And I didn't used to believe that. And as I understood more things, I now firmly believe it. And so, there's an epidemic of cache videos on how to hide your guns. And to me, that's a loot. That is not a wise strategy for longevity. Or it might be for longevity, but not for the longevity of liberty. And, and I'm speaking strictly of a tyrannical government in the future that is infringing on our constitutional rights. And
and if we think about government, again, this is why I keep circling back to our individual communities, to your point that you just said. As the layers of government get larger, then our self-reliance, there should be less reliance on any form of government as those circles and influence get larger. And we need to start coming back to our communities. And that doesn't matter if you're talking about supporting local businesses and local economy, building relationships in your community. Because here's an example. I know this is just what popped into my mind. I graduated with like 237 kids in my graduating class. Knew every one of them, knew all their names, knew their faces, knew something about them. Today, kids are like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I don't know that person. Their sphere has shrunk tremendously, and the same goes for us as adults. For most people, we don't get out and know the people in our local community anymore. And if all of this this COVID madness, if it hasn't taught us that we have to start relying on our community, then we've lost an opportunity to learn something through that. And that plays right into this discussion. We have to rely on our community. So, Marty and I were talking before we started, is we're posing all these questions, and Marty said we've got to come up with some solutions, and that's what we all need to be about, is solutions. But that's what we wanted to do is get the wheels turning in all of you lead heads, and think about the gap from where we're at from my cold dead hands, or from where we're at to come and take it, because we can capitalize on this. We can build relationships. We can build up our local communities. We can get to know our local law enforcement and local officials and ask them the question. So what if the state takes a stand? What if you're in you're in a state that's led by a liberal governor and legislators? Again, the pilot program was Virginia, and every damn sheriff in the state said, nope, not happening. Even the DPS said, nope, not happening. And what there were whispers from the leadership of the state, being the governor and the legislators, of, well, we're just going to bring in federal enforcement.
That's where I was going to go with that. It's like, okay, so if your local sheriffs are on board and they're behind you, and they're not going to want to take action against some sort of a federal mandate that maybe the governors or mayors or whatever are trying to impose and push, then the next step was more than likely is going to be some sort of federal intervention. And at that point, that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother can of worms. And then,
so I think
we're getting into the, are we looking at the tyrannicalness of the Second Amendment at that point?
And I don't remember. I saw this on a video. Maybe it was Sheriff Bianco's. What if this is a question that I want to ask my sheriff that's why I don't want just this answer that he gave of, well, I'm going to support your constitutional rights. What if the state itself, or the feds, but let's say at the state level, what if the state tries to enforce something and the sheriff stands against it, and the state says, well, we're just going to withhold state funding? What's the answer going to be then? I don't know if any of these guys have really thought through that.
Yeah,
that's a line in the sand.
And that gets into our self-sufficiency as a community as well. Yep. If our local law enforcement and emergency services is so dependent on the federal government, the state government, federal government to get their funding, and they can use that and hold that over their heads to get what they want, which that's what a lot of them are doing. It's like, if you don't comply, then you're not going to get your funding. And, I guarantee you that's what this Chad Bianco sheriff is facing as well. But at the same time,
Sure.
he's made a stance and he said, look, but apparently he's got his community behind him. And, that behind him means not only of, in support-wise, as far as, we're behind you, we support you, yay, we're great what you're doing, but there's got to be financial support there also. It's like, if they're going to cut this off, then, there has to be dollars still flowing to support those departments. And where does that come from?
Right, and that's going to have to come from the people,
Right.
So, again, we can spend forever talking about that.
So that's going to enable your local department. If you get your tribe together, you get your local people together, and then you have to make the decision there, and then you approach, as a group, your sheriff's department or whatever it may be, because sheriffs are different depending on each state, each county, on what their actual roles are. But once you've got that group together and you've made a decision, it's like, look, we've got the backing now to enable this guy to be able to stand up, to give him a backbone.
Right.
Well, I think it's important to highlight that this is just one part of the Great Reset. And to loop back on that previous episode, I hope everybody was keeping their spidey senses up for the magic words that indicate that you are hearing from a Great Reset propagandist. But Janet Yellen was just put forth by Biden, or whoever has their hand up Biden's ass, pulling the strings as a puppet, to put her forth as head of Treasury. And the acceptance speech she gave is worth finding, because it is nearly a verbatim summary of the goals of the Great Reset. And she even uses the magic word, we won't just build the economy back, we'll build it back better. And so she's talking about using the powers of the Treasury to address climate change, class injustice, and racial injustice, to use the Treasury for that.
That was the Treasury Secretary?
Yep. And
Okay.
she was head of the Fed for a while, if I remember correctly. And, one of the bright spots is that the hard left, the Bernie supporters and all them, are seriously pissed that the Biden administration is full of swamp creatures and is exactly what we thought it would be. And just the worst of the radical left and the mainstream left put together. And so gun control is just one part of this, and full control of corporations, including mine, is part of that agenda, where, I would have to give quarterly reports on what I'm doing to hire a racially diverse population. And obviously I don't give two shits what color somebody is or where they come from. I care if they're competent. And also what I'm doing to address climate change and to become, carbon neutral, and, what I'm doing to reduce the epidemic of gun violence in this country while I'm making guns, which obviously means they would aim to put me out of business. And so, we don't want to get blinders on that it's just gun control that's at stake. It's our entire way of life. And I don't mean to sound hyperbolic here, but that's what it is. And so part of what I've been doing with outreach with my local government is trying to very respectfully and in a condensed way, because these guys don't have time, is to put forth enough resources to them so that they can see the big picture as to what's going on. And so to the degree that we can address this holistically, that, hey, this all means socialism, look out. And the response has been very positive from the people in government that I've discussed these things with. So yeah, I don't want to derail the conversation, but at the same time, it's not just guns.
No. You struck on a very important point. Is I can't tell you how many people in this last election said, "Well, this is the first time I voted." They're in their 40s, and I just wanted to thrash them. But there are so many elections that are so much more important than the presidential election, and it's our local elections. And again, it comes back to the time thing, but we may have to consider possibly running for office at a local level. If we want to get in and make a change, we may have to step up and lead. And that's damn hard when you're a business owner and but people do it, you know? So to that political point, if you're reaching out and working with your local political leadership, you may wind up needing to step up and take a greater role. And that's something that I think in many ways people are a little bit fearful of, but you know, these are times that we may have to be willing to step up. I think I'm a little too plain spoken to run for office because I'll piss a lot of people off.
No, I'm sure it's already been founded, but I was having the same thought this past election season of founding the Leave Me the Fuck Alone party, and that my single platform would be to vote no on anything that increased regulation, period. And I think that your voice for the folks who just want to be left the fuck alone, I think that that's a somewhat easier position to take and would be very popular next time around. Right. And so no, that's heavily on my mind.
What's the acronym for that? Lemon? Is it?
Don't do that again.
Yeah, already got a website picked out.
Yeah. Already stapled for you, definitely.
That is one of the largest voting groups out there right now, I think, that nobody is championing, is leave me alone. We're okay. So, yeah, I think that'll be a popular platform coming up here.
But I think those are the same people that are sitting on their ass and not wanting to get involved, you know, because they just want to be left alone and they don't want to stick their necks out.
Well, and I would say that that's not sitting on your ass. I think that's a principled, honorable position. I just think that
But the way that this system works, you can't sit on your ass or you're just going to get railroaded over, you know?
Not to speak.
You're going to get lemoned.
So before I forget,
okay.
I think, Marty, you were going down this road is if the local, either state or local law enforcement choose not to stand up and say, look, I'm not going to enforce it, then what is the federal task force going to look like? Because you can bet your ass that it's already in the works. Maybe it's called DHS. How do they have to reach out to local LE before they take steps? I don't know. That's a question that I've been dying to ask someone and get an answer. You know, how many steps can they take at the state level? And again, maybe that will spur further separation of state and federal powers.
Well, there's a bunch of examples of this. Humboldt County in California, north of me around Ruby Ridge. There's Waco. There's Key West, or the Florida Keys, where the feds have gone in with troops in some cases, like in Humboldt and in the Keys for drug running or drug interdiction. And, you know, it appears that sometimes, well, and, you know, the feds will, when early on, I think this was during the Bush years in Santa Cruz County where I used to live, the feds would just randomly show up and raid the pot farms, the medical pot farms. This was before recreational. They would just show up randomly and trash a pot farm and arrest everybody there. And so they do appear to be able to just sweep in, but there's a fundamental problem that I'll just use local law enforcement as an example, that while police are at work, they are not at home. And if there is violence against tyrannical law enforcement folks, whether on the government, you know, whatever strata you're talking about, they can't protect their houses and go off and be tyrannical at the same time. And so my suspicion is, though I would never publicly advocate for violence, that that this would be a self-correcting problem. And in the case of Idaho, I don't think that local law enforcement would stand for a federal raid for very long. And it was, I think it's easier when you've got religious wackos like the Davidians or white separatists like Randy Weaver's family, where it's some isolated thing. But the door-to-door collection of guns by federal troops, I just don't see that happening personally. I don't think it's a big risk factor. Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely. I think you're going to be hard pressed to get people to move against, the American populace.
Well, I think they'll do just like they did in the past, like you're talking about. If it comes down to that, is they'll target a group. They'll find a group that's already well organized and make it a movement and squelch them to keep others from following suit.
Yeah, this is a real bummer with the militia movement, is that, I started researching why the feds were so keyed in on the Weavers. And while I think that was an abominable act and that our current attorney general should never have been able to be hired for anything more than, I don't know, he should be unemployable with what he did with the Weavers. But there is a history before the Weavers of some really nasty people in the militia movement doing really nasty stuff and doing bank robberies and bearer bond thefts and, white supremacist activity that really shit the nest for a positive militia movement that was simply more along the lines of what the National Guard is thought of as. And so I think it's a dicey proposition. One has to be very careful when training with others to defend their communities in how they conduct themselves. And I don't have any answers there. I just would urge people to look back at the history of it and to understand the pitfalls and why we are where we are. And it's unfortunately not as simple as I would like it to be.
Yeah. Be a student of history. That's the best way to learn about how you should move forward. Definitely. Well, this has been a good conversation. We didn't really talk about the sheriffs, kind of like we were going to talk about, but I think it really kind of led down to where the main topic of what we really needed to talk about here, and it's again, and we've talked about this in previous Liberty episodes. It's building your tribe. It's learning your community, getting to know your community, being involved in your community. That's how ultimately you're going to get to know your sheriff and your, all the people in the police department and your emergency services. And if they know you personally, you know them personally, then you're going to have a better idea of what direction things are going to head when it comes your direction. So, that's the best way, is to get involved, stay involved. You can't be a recluse like I am.
Yeah, that's where treating people like people is on all sides. Like I said, I've gotten to be friends with a bunch of cops in town, and sure, there's some jerks, but there's some really good people out there too. And every time we can reach out to a cop and remind them that they deal with a lot of bad people, and having positive interactions with good people is good for them and it's good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's ways that you can, again, subvertly get the information. I just did a little Facebook search on my local sheriff's department, and they've got a Facebook page, and they're making posts of who's getting promotions and who did, this and who's getting honored for that, and different things like that. So another way that you can keep up with what's going on with your local sheriff's department. Same thing, I guess, with your police department.
Police
as well.
force. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they have the same type of things, but again, it's out there. It's building the community. It's at the gym. I don't know how many police officers work out at the gym that I work out. I see them every day going in, and that's a good time where you can have a conversation with one and just catch them being real. Off duty, relaxed. They got the endorphins kicking them they're more apt to speak their mind in situations like that. But don't corner them. Just do it in a friendly, non-intrusive kind of way. But yeah, so there are all kinds of different ways, and I really miss Jay not being on here today because I know he would have all kinds of knowledge bombs for us. But we'll get him on. He'll be back in an upcoming episode. But this was a good topic, Jared. I appreciate you pushing for us to do this episode. It was interesting.
Well, it would be great to hear a lot of feedback from the lead heads out there, and give us your thoughts, because that's why we do this is putting this out there, initiating the conversation, getting everybody's brains and gears turning, and let's come up with solutions together, because that's
a good point. And we are a community. This podcast is a community. We have our own community within this podcast of our listeners and our social media, and it's a great platform for you guys to get conversations started. So feel free on Talking Lead's Facebook page, Instagram page. Just started the Parler. I'm doing the Parler, but I haven't really done anything with it yet. I don't know. Again, I haven't had time to research it and figure out how to make posts and stuff. But those are great places for you guys to start conversations, and I know you've done it in the past. And I've seen some good conversations go back and forth between you lead heads. So you can do that, and you can always email me, talkingled@gmail.com, if there's a particular topic or subject, or maybe there's just a question or issue that you have about something. Get in touch with me, and I can get in touch with people who know things more than me, obviously. That's why I have you guys on the show. So. But that's a great place to start right there with the Leadhead Brigade community, and we can get a lot done. And we're nationwide. We're already branched out, So
absolutely a great network.
It's an awesome network. So if you one of you Leadheads want to maybe start a Leadhead Brigade, I don't know, what would you call it, fire team? Feel free to do that. Get in touch with me and we'll talk about it. A great place to start would be what Jared and I talked about earlier, is going to the range, getting training. There's a community right there of like-minded individuals, and get to know the people that you're training with also. There's a lot of police officers that take those training courses too, and I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of police officers weren't going to take our class, the AK Concepts class that we're going to have February 20th and 21st at Royal Range USA here in Nashville.
Boy, am I looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun time.
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And we were speaking earlier, if you're, short on ideas for Christmas gifts, that would make a great Christmas gift for a loved one right there, or two. Or maybe just help them. Maybe they want to take the course. They don't have all the money. Get together with a couple of family members and buy a gift certificate from 212 Training Group that they could put towards the class. You've got a couple of months now to save up, find your ammo. Again, if you're short on ammo, get in touch with Royal Range. Last I talked, they had ammo. Art's really good about getting supplies there for them. I don't think they really had a shortage on anything. They've been well stocked with guns and ammo and everything. But go ahead and secure that ammo if you're considering taking that class. It'd be a good.
And if you don't have an AK and you're interested in the platform and in this class, reach out to us. Let us know. We've got a couple of demo guns, and they're pretty badass 1775s. But I'll caution you: you get behind one, you're going to want one, and they're in high demand right now. But anyway, if you're curious about the platform and you don't have one, we can hook you up. We can make it happen.
That's right. And speaking of the AK corner, it's going to be kicking back up in January 15th. We're going to start Season 3 of the Talking Lead AK Corner. Looking forward to that. We've got some people lined up, and I know you guys aren't going to be disappointed in our first episode of Season 3. Something to look forward to in January.
Very good, comrades.
Right. So any parting words for the Leadheads?
Man, I hope that you guys really spend some time digesting this and thinking about it and starting to build a community around you, because that's really what it's going to take. I don't have the answers. When Marty and I talked and Brian and I talked, we don't have all the answers, but I think together with this community, we can figure out the right steps forward. And I think we can make a lot of progress. We can build a lot of support. It's just going to take investing in each other and investing in people, and that's what we need to do.
Very good. Brian, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'll beat the drum again on taking that new gun owner to the range, and if they don't have ammo, maybe drop them 50 rounds and then do some dry practice. And carefully, if you're not competent to do dry practice, don't teach it. But if you are, with great power comes great responsibility. But if you know how to do dry practice correctly and feel competent to instruct others on it, people don't need ammo to train. And so,
there's some great systems out there that you can drop into your existing firearm and do some great dry fire training with laser technology and infrared technology.
Yep, big time.
Yeah, they're out there. Just Google them. You can find them. And, you don't want to use that ammo. That's the place to go. That's the direction to head.
Yep. Depending on the instructor, I haven't heard anybody say it should be less than 80% dry practice for your training regimen. So, and Sonny, I think, says 90%. So, 15 minutes a day or even 5 minutes a day, following the procedure to keep it safe, no ammo in the room, double checking, verbalizing it. This is, including but not limited to those things. I have a lot of friends who have cracked one off after they had finished dry practice. They reloaded their gun and they were like, just one more. And they forgot they had loaded their gun. So like I said, it's putting your finger on the trigger. You own every trigger press, regardless of whether there's, if there's a bullet in there or not, pointing in a safe direction, all that stuff. It's a big deal, but super powerful. So if you haven't gotten trained on that, you might want to sign up for that 212 class. Or there's a bunch of other competent people, but I know Jared will teach that. It's a big skill right now. And get after it.
There you go. And then don't forget about the big giveaway that Talking Lead in Full 30 is doing to promote our launching of the Talking Lead channel on Full 30 Network. You go there, sign up, subscribe to our channel. We've got links in our Instagram where you can go for the contest. We've got 5 prize packages, 5 huge prize packages. Each prize package is going to have a gun and ammo in it. In addition to, total of $10,000 of prizes in this giveaway that we're doing, and these prize packages are stacked. I'm telling you. So first place, we're looking at a Browning Buckmark 22 pistol with a Stealth Project suppressor, a 22 rimfire suppressor. You're going to get a Geisley Everyday Carry pistol pack, a Buck Knives 112 Slim Pro. Crossbreed Holsters is throwing in a concealed carry weapons pack, which is a holster belt and mag pouch. Glow Rhino is throwing in a couple of their tritium products that they've got to help you see your keychain and whatnot in the dark. Armament Systems and Procedures, ASP USA. Our good buddy Michael Hess over there is throwing in one of their T1 dual fuel rechargeable flashlights, an essential piece of any EDC kit. Operator Coffee. You got to have coffee to keep you going. Going to throw in a bag of Operator Coffee in each of these prize packages. Prime One Camo is throwing in a nice jacket with their camo pattern on there. Mission First Tactical is ponied up, and they're throwing in a lot of stuff. They've got pepper spray. Who doesn't need the pepper spray? They're throwing in one of their M18 red smoke grenade drinkware drink bottles. So you could throw your coffee in that and be cool while you're drinking your coffee. They got tactical dump trays and a tactical wallet with the Talking Lead logo on there. For you armorers, Obsidian Arms has thrown in one of their world-renowned 12-piece punch kits and they are also throwing in an enhanced AR-15 bolt carrier pin kit. And these are, from the backpack down, this is in every one of the prize packages, of the 5 prize packages. You're getting all of this stuff. Modern Spartan systems, their starter kit plus, and their TVT engine oil additive. Ready Man Network, they're throwing in a survival card and a hostage escape card, which I think it's like a lock-picking kit or something like that. It's pretty cool. But you can go to these websites and you can check these prizes out and see details about everything. We had Jeff Kirkham on last episode, and we talked about the importance of knowing your medical procedures and being able to, how important it is to be able to treat a wounded individual. You're going to need that skill more often than you're going to need your firearms skill. They're putting in a compact bleeder kit, and Student of the Gun is putting in their combat lifesaver kit and their pocket lifesaver kit. So we got a lot of med kits that are going to be included. You're going to get Student of the Gun T-shirt, double tap ammo's throwing in ammo for each of the guns. Talking Lead, we're putting in T-shirts and patches. 1776 United's putting in a gift card. And to kick back and relax at the end of the day, Founders Cigar Company is putting in a sampler pack of their high-end cigars. So all that and then some for the Talking Lead Full 30 Gun Shortage Giveaway is what we're calling it. I'm calling it the Christmas Ain't Canceled giveaway, because we ain't canceling Christmas for nobody, baby. But Gleam, it's a Gleam giveaway. Like I said, the links are in our social media, Facebook. I've made posts there. Instagram, you click on the link there. I'll give it to you here, and you could type it in. I don't know if it'll help you or not, but it's Gleam, GLEAM.io/EYT7R/talking lead full 30 giveaway. Or it's easier just to go to the link and click on it. Or shoot me an email, talkinglead@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link. We want to get all you lead heads the ability to enter this. I mentioned earlier, the first day we had over 40,000 entries into this on the first day that we released it. I don't know what it's up to now. There's no telling. But with all these companies pushing and promoting it, we should have well over 1 million people getting involved with this. So not too late. Jump in, do it. We're going to announce the winner, or we're going to have the winner picked Christmas Eve, and then we'll announce it either Christmas Day or soon after. But it's going to be a great Christmas for 5 of you lead heads out there. So what do you guys think about that giveaway? Is that not like the most awesome giveaway ever?
Absolutely.
Baller.
We do it right here at Talking Lead. I don't think anybody else, bar none, podcast, YouTube channels, anything, gives away more and supports our listeners more than Talking Lead. So make sure you guys go, because our sponsors make this possible, and show them love. Go to their websites, go to their social media pages, let them know that you're a lead head and that you appreciate all of this, everything that they do, all these prizes that they give, all these samples that they give out, all these discount codes that they give out. Occam Defense Solutions, when he first kicked off his 1775, he really set you lead heads up, and you were able to get those guns for way under market value. And those that jumped on it know exactly what I'm talking about now. But good quality guns there at 1776 United. Talk about what you guys got going on right now, Brian. 1776 United at Occam Defense Solutions. Sorry.
All good. It's all good. It's
Occam
late.
Defense Solutions. I've had the COVID, so my brain's not all there.
Yeah. No, you're being. I don't know that the brain was all there before, but
it never has been. Yeah.
That's why we love you.
Yeah.
No, we're stacking a lot of steel right now to make sure that we can continue to pump guns out through the next month or so, where things could get a little spicy. We have a new product drop that I alluded to last show that is at anodizing right now. Jared has been testing one for us along with a couple of our other shooters, and about to drop on that. And just figuring out our big focus right now is that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And so we're just doubling up on suppliers as much as possible to make sure that we have a steady stream of inputs. That continues to be our biggest challenge. And right now we've got, a bunch of great opportunities that we're working.
And what's your backlog right now? What's your backlog look like?
We're about to open orders back up here. I put out a video. Prices have been rising so fast that we've barely been making ends meet, because we'll price a gun out and take a pre-order on it, and then by the time that gun's ready to be built, we're not, I'm not going to say losing money, but it was very, very tight. Yeah. And so we're moving for the next few months here at least. We're going to move to a we build it, then you can buy it model. And so there have been some people on a wait list that are hopping on that, but we're about to draw. Actually, by the time this comes out, it will have been announced on social media. But we'll be doing batches of guns for the next few months here. I think that's the big change, is we've cleared almost all of the backlog, and now we're into just basically building, hey, we built this, do you want to buy it?
Okay, very good. I knew at a time there with that backlog that there were some people that, for whatever reason, weren't able to go through with their purchase, and you were offering those on. So is that still maybe an opportunity people need to keep their eye out for?
Well, yeah, except it'll be like, hey, we got 10 olive drab guns with flash hiders. Do you want one? Call us.
I got you.
Yep.
So all your back orders are caught up and you're good on those then?
There's a few people, but yeah, we're about to clear the last back order in the next couple of weeks here. So yeah, we're pretty well caught up, and we'll be able to just put them up on the website and say go. Cool. Yep.
And I want to share a little information. Just got back just before Thanksgiving, teaching with HSP Haley Strategic D3 or D5 and D3 AK. The first time we've ever done D3 AK in Phoenix, and I had the 1775 rifle and pistol there, and I really didn't shoot them very much because people were coming wanting to try them. And I literally had to go ask for the guns back. And people were like, man, that is so smooth and flat, and had nothing but great input back from the shooters, from the consumers. And they were super reliable, ran like sewing machines. And it's just awesome to see that response from people. And they say, damn, where can I get one? And so go talk to Brian, and he'll set you up. And if you have other questions about them, feel free to reach out to me. And I've been running them for a couple of years. Well, the rifle for a year and a half, Brian. Approaching 2 years now. Approaching 2 years. Yep, that's right. So anyway, just phenomenal platforms. If you're in Texas, local to Central Texas, and you want to come try one, reach out to me, because you can come run them as much as you want to. Very cool.
And then, of course, I'm using mine for deer hunting this season. I went out for a couple of days when rifle season opened here, the first 2 days, and that's when I got sick after that, a day or two after that, and I've not been able to go out since. But I'm feeling better now, and I anticipate that the next couple of days I will be back out using that 1775, and I wouldn't be surprised. Keep your eyes on social media for a glamour shot next to a deer.
I look forward to that. It's fun seeing Trophy grip and grins with the 1775 in there. I enjoyed that a lot. Casey Loftus, a lead head, has been, I don't know if he's got a 1775 yet, but he's been a long time customer of mine, and definitely used the RST, which is a sort of a more classic optic mount, to take down at least a few deer that I'm aware of. So a lot of fun for me to see that. So if you guys are posting on the gram or whatever, please tag me, and love to see it.
Perfectly viable game hunting rifle, no doubt about it. All right, guys, that does it for another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. Again, make sure you go and support those that sponsor this show: Kel-Tec Weapons, Modern Spartan Systems, Occam Defense Solutions, 212 Training Group, ASP USA, among others. You know who they are. Each and every week we bring them to you. And then Mission First Tactical also, use that code LEADHEAD to get 20% off at Mission First Tactical. So until the next episode, I look forward to hearing from you leadheads, talkinglead@gmail.com, or hit us up on the social medias. Make sure that you subscribe to our Facebook, I guess. I mean, who does Facebook much anymore? But Instagram, the Parler. Again, I'm kicking that off. And most importantly, the Full 30 channel. Go and subscribe to the Talking Lead podcast on the Full 30 channel. The more support that we get from you guys, the more that we're going to be doing. You know, like as mentioned in the last episode, we're going to be looking at doing some more videos, actual videos of things outside of the show. And then we may even start doing the show live too. Well, maybe not live, but we'll record it. So we're looking into some options for that as well. But until then, as always, leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
And never stop learning.